Welcome back. The trial for hip-hop star A$AP Rocky is what's trending in true crime this morning. Opening statements kick off today. The Grammy-nominated rapper is accused of shooting at a former friend near a Hollywood hotel back in 2021. Rocky's real name is Rakim Mayers, and he declined a plea offer to spend 180 days in jail ahead of his trial. He faces a maximum sentence of 24 years in prison if he's convicted. Let's take a look at the jury breakdown. We've got 12 jurors who are going to hear this case. 5 of them are men, 7 of them are women. According to TMZ, none of the jurors, including the 4 alternates, are African American. None of them. And we know the defense was taking issue with the pool earlier this week. Now, the defense team plans to call witnesses to testify that the alleged firearm seen on security footage, alleged to be carried by Rocky, was a starter pistol he carried as a prop, pointing to why no shell casings were found at the scene. The surveillance footage is grainy of the actual shooting, maybe hard to identify the shooters wearing a dark hoodie, hard to see the face, and we know that the alleged victim collected the spent cartridge casings himself and brought them to police, which could prove to be problematic. So if you saw my opening statement, you're going to know what we're asking. We're wondering, is this trial going to be a stinker? In other words, is this a bad case for the prosecution? Maybe, maybe not. Let's see what our power panel thinks. Let's bring back in criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Joe Tamburino, and welcome in domestic violence expert and former law enforcement officer Claudia King, and media personality and artist Head Crack. Good morning to you all. Okay, is this one a stinker? Ladies first, Claudia King, what do you say?
It definitely sounds like it, Julie, because the prosecution made that offer of 180 days in jail. To me, that shows that they don't have a ton of confidence in this case if they were going to let it go for just 180 days. It sounds like the video is blurry. It's hard to tell if it's really A$AP Rocky. There's the issue with the shell casings and the fact that the victim turned them over and collected them allegedly. So I just see this being very problematic for the prosecution.
Yeah, great points. Claudia, thank you. Great point about the plea deal. When you have such a sweetheart deal, could mean that, you know, the case stinks. Head Crack, I want to go to you next, please. Your thoughts on this? Is this a stinker or maybe a solid case?
It sounds a little sloppy, and like what she was saying, if they're gonna offer you 180 days, which is way sweeter than 24 possible years in prison, and you decide to, I like our odds on this, and I'm just gonna go for it because we know what we know. I think the defense probably feels like they have a very fortified defense on their side that'll be able to prove that A$AP Rocky wasn't trying to really hurt this man, but just scare him off, fend him off, or whatever. And it's just so problematic from the prosecution side.
All right, Head Crack, I like what you said about sloppy. You said this seems sloppy. Head Crack, I think you're right. I think that this is going to be a little bit of a mess when it goes to trial, and the defense already getting the prosecution fired up. They dropped this little bomb this week about saying it's a prop gun, not a real gun, because he's seen on video holding what looks like a gun. And so they're saying, no, not real. And the prosecution saying they've been ambushed by the defense with this new theory. Joe Tamburino, last but not least, want to get your thoughts on all of this, please.
2 things. First of all, it's highly problematic for the prosecution that the alleged victim finds the evidence. So the police are there. Police are crime scene people. They're going around the crime scene. They don't find any shell casings. But it just so happens hours later that the alleged victim says, gee, look what I found. So that's highly problematic. Also, we don't know if they searched A$AP Rocky's house. Can the prosecution show that this guy even has guns? Has he ever had a 9mm? Does he have some other type of firearm? So I think that whole thing is problematic. Second thing, this whole called ambush with the new theory that he had a prop gun. The defense doesn't have to disclose their theory. Yes, they have to disclose witnesses, just like the prosecution, but this whole idea of ambush is nonsense. The defense doesn't have to say a word. The defense could have a theory one day and a second theory the next day. So this whole idea of ambush, yeah, it's good PR. It's something that you're going to give to the media, but it's nonsense.
Joe, really great points. Thank you for all of that. Head Crack, let me go back to you, please, for the sentiment of the industry. What is the sentiment? Are other artists kind of rallying around him? Is there a showing of support for him or not so much?
You know, it's one of the more quiet cases that we've heard about in a while. Like, it's one of those things you hear about, it's a blip in the news, and then it goes away, then it comes back, and of course it's going to ramp up because the trial's getting ready to start. But, you know, A$AP Rocky has a lot of friends in the business, and then, of course, because, you know, he's booed up with Rihanna, you're also going to get a whole bunch of other people that are going to be rallying for him on the strength of her. You know, shout out to the Rihanna Navy. I'm a member. So at the end of the day, A$AP Rocky has, you know, for the larger part of his career, been a very non-problematic guy. I know he did have some issues overseas a few months, like a few years ago, but, you know, he did his time and he got out. And, you know, and he's been trying to just be the best dad he could be, get back to the music and continue to serve his fan base and, you know, and pop up in fashion ads where he can, because he is the fashion killer. If you know, you know.
He really is. I know. I feel like so many of us maybe know him more for fashion, him and Rihanna, too. I mean, you know, my gosh. I mean, I think she's got 9 Grammys, too. Not taking anything away from that. But, yeah, I mean, they're a power couple for sure. Maybe we'll see her. We sure hope. But I like what you said there, Head Crack, about he hasn't really been known as being a problematic guy. That's not A$AP Rocky's reputation. But with the next person we're going to talk about, that's debatable.